Marmots of British Columbia. Marmots are the largest ground squirrels in the world. They usually live in mountainous areas and have thick coats to keep them warm. They are very social animals that often live in colonies. Marmots are also very vocal and produce a number of different calls. During the day, they feed on the plants in alpine or subalpine meadows. At night, they sleep in the extensive burrow system that they've constructed. Four species in the genus Marmota live in the province of British Columbia: the hoary marmot, the yellow-bellied marmot, the Vancouver Island marmot, and the groundhog. The groundhog is related to the other three animals, but is a little different from them. The first three species are interesting to observe, but they can only be seen in summer. The animals hibernate for 7 or 8 months each year. The hoary marmot is a big animal that gets its name from the mantle of white hair over its shoulder and upper back. The yellow-bellied marmot is a smaller animal that is often red-brown in color, and has a yellow or orange belly. The Vancouver Island marmot is also smaller than the hoary marmot, and has a chocolate-brown coat with white patches. This animal is of particular concern because its population is critically endangered. British Columbia is Canada's most westerly province and lies next to the Pacific Ocean. The mainland area of the province is joined to the rest of Canada. A number of islands are located off the west coast of the mainland. The largest of these islands is Vancouver Island. Victoria is the capital of British Columbia and is located on Vancouver Island. The hoary and yellow-bellied marmots live on the mainland of British Columbia as well as in the United States. The Vancouver Island marmot lives only on Vancouver Island. Marmots are mammals that belong to the rodent order Rodentia and the squirrel family Sciuridae. They are divided into two groups that have slightly different features. The Marmota group consists of the European and Asian marmots as well as the North American groundhog or woodchuck. The groundhog lives at lower elevations than its North American relatives and generally isn't referred to as a marmot. It has a widespread distribution in both Canada and the United States and is found in British Columbia. The Petromarmota group consists of the four marmots that live only in western North America: the hoary, yellow-bellied, Vancouver Island, and Olympic marmots. The Olympic marmot is found only on the Olympic Peninsula in Washington. This peninsula is located immediately to the south of Vancouver Island, though it's separated from Canada by the Strait of Juan de Fuca. The border between the two countries travels along the middle of the strait. Hoary marmots live in alpine areas above or at the tree line. The term hoary refers to the white mantle of hair on the animal's shoulders and upper back. The rest of the coat is usually red-brown but varies considerably in color. Sometimes the animal is almost entirely white. Its scientific name is Marmota caligata. The hoary marmot is also called a whistler because of the high-pitched sounds that it makes to warn its colony as predators or humans approach. The famous mountain resort town of Whistler is named after the calls of the hoary marmots in the area. Other marmots in British Columbia also produce a whistle as an alarm call. Like Marmota caligata, they are sometimes known as whistle pigs. Marmots also produce chirps and trills as alarm calls. In areas with many human visitors, however, they may no longer produce alarm calls when people pass by. They may even approach humans in the hope of getting food. An adult hoary marmot is a large and bulky animal, especially if it's a male, and the animal has increased its mass to prepare for hibernation. The animal may weigh as much as 30 pounds but more commonly reaches 20 pounds. The hoary marmot and the alpine marmot of Europe are both said to be the largest ground squirrels in the world. Hoary marmots are found in mountainous areas in most of mainland British Columbia. Their colonies generally consist of a dominant male, several breeding females, their youngsters, and sometimes a few subordinate males. If food is limited, the animals live alone instead of in a colony. The animals choose an area with both a meadow and boulders for their home. The burrows are constructed in the soil of the meadow or under a boulder. The soil must be soft and deep in order for a marmot to dig efficiently and create a suitable home. A site under a boulder is often chosen for the burrow because the rock provides protection from animals that can dig, such as bears. The burrow system is frequently complex, with deep chambers and tunnels and multiple entrances. Chambers are often lined with plant material. Hoary marmots are active during the day and are therefore said to be diurnal. They feed on plants that they find in subalpine and alpine meadows and spend their nights in their burrows. They may also retreat into the burrows for short periods during the day. The burrows of a colony are built close to each other. Marmots greet each other around the burrow entrances, and youngsters play with one another there. The boulders are good places for the animals to sun themselves. The boulders in a colony's territory make great lookout posts for the members who are acting as sentinels for the colony. Hoary marmots mate inside burrows soon after hibernation ends. The females reach reproductive maturity at 2 years of age but may not breed until they are 3 years old. After a gestation period of around 30 days, 2 to 5 pups are born. The pups leave the burrow at about 1 month of age. At this point, they can move well. The weaning process is finished up to 2 weeks later. The youngsters stay with their mother until they are around 2 years old. Hoary marmots are thought to live for a maximum of 12 years. Due to predation, however, the animals may not reach this maximum lifespan. The year is a short one for a hoary marmot. Like all British Columbia marmots, the animal is active during the summer and hibernates during the winter. Hibernation lasts from September to April. A marmot's hibernation burrow is generally deeper than burrows intended for daily use, and is located below the frost level. Hibernation is a potentially dangerous time, in which the animal is unresponsive to its surroundings. A hibernating marmot is in a deep torpor, and its temperature is only slightly higher than that of its immediate environment. In addition, its heart beats very slowly, and its breathing rate is much slower than normal. In captivity, a marmot in hibernation may wake for short periods and even leave the burrow to urinate before going back into the burrow and falling into a torpor again. A hibernating animal relies on its stored fat for energy while it is in a torpor and immediately after it emerges from the burrow. If it doesn't have enough stored fat, it won't be able to survive. Despite the danger, however, hibernation is beneficial for the species as a whole, since it enables animals to survive during the winter when their food is unavailable. The yellow-bellied marmot, Marmota flaviventris, generally lives in a colony but may also live with one other animal or on its own. It's often found at lower elevations than the hoary marmot and may be seen in rocky areas, mountain meadows, and areas with mixed meadow and trees. Like the hoary marmot, Marmota flaviventris looks quite bulky when it has built up fat stores. It's considerably smaller than the hoary marmot, however, and reaches a maximum weight of only about 11 pounds. Yellow-bellied marmots build their burrows under rocks, bushes, or logs, which hide the entrance to a burrow. Like their relatives, they feed on plants during the summer, socialize with members of their colony, such as by greeting and grooming each other, and produce alarm cells when predators approach. In addition to the whistle, chirp, and trill, they produce a sound known as a chuck. The animals hibernate for 7 or 8 months of the year. Many spend September to April in their hibernation burrow, or hibernaculum. Hibernation tends to last for a shorter time in warmer habitats. The yellow-bellied marmot reaches reproductive maturity at 2 years of age, but only about 25% of females reproduce at this age. Most wait until they are 3 years old to reproduce. The usual litter size is 3 to 8 pups. The gestation period is about 30 days. The pups emerge from the burrow after about a month. Since 2008, a wild yellow-bellied marmot has been living on the grounds of the Fairmont Empress Hotel, which is a luxury establishment in Victoria. He may have found his way there after hitching a ride on a truck that traveled from the mainland on a ferry. The real explanation for his arrival is unknown, however. Yellow-bellied marmots don't normally live on Vancouver Island. The Empress marmot has been named Roger. Roger has chosen a rockery next to a lawn for his home, which roughly resembles a rocky area next to a meadow in his natural habitat. He has avoided all attempts to trap him, and has successfully survived hibernation each year. Yellow-bellied marmots are thought to live for around 15 years. Roger's presence seems to be currently accepted by the hotel. He even seems to have become an attraction. According to a newspaper report in April 2019, Roger had recently made an appearance. A hotel representative said that the marmot appeared to be in good shape. He was also seen after hibernation in April 2020. It was great news that he was still alive, but as the writer in the referenced article below says, it was also a bit surprising. Roger is probably quite elderly by now. Thankfully, he also appeared in 2021, and a Vancouver Island newspaper reported that he also appeared in 2022. Vancouver Island marmots are chocolate brown in color with a white patch on their chest, muzzle, and the top of their head. Like their relatives, they have strong shoulder muscles and strong claws to help them dig. They reach a maximum weight of about 15.5 pounds. Their scientific name is Marmota vancouverensis. The animals live in small colonies that generally consist of 2 to 7 individuals. They establish their burrows in alpine or subalpine meadows and feed on the plants that grow there, including herbs, flowers, grasses, and sedges. The burrows are usually built at the base of boulders or tree trunks. In addition to the usual marmot calls, the Vancouver Island marmot produces a unique two-tone sound represented as kia. This can be heard at the Marmot Burrow website referenced below. Vancouver Island marmots hibernate from mid-September to late April or even early May. Researchers have discovered that the marmots block the entrance to their hibernaculum from the inside with rocks and soil. Radio telemetry indicates that some of the marmots hibernate as a family group. Radio telemetry is very useful for wildlife biologists. A device that emits radio waves is attached to an animal's body. The device is often located inside a collar. Researchers can then track the animal from a distance as they detect the radio waves. As in the other marmot species, the Vancouver Island marmot mates in a burrow shortly after hibernation ends. The litter that results generally consists of 3 or 4 pups, which are born after a gestation period of about 32 days. The pups emerge from the burrow after 1 month of development. There seems to be no one reason why the Vancouver Island marmot population is in trouble. Several theories have been proposed. Some or all of the following observations and suggestions may be contributing to the population problem. Animals have been mistaking clear-cut areas, or areas cleared for ski hills for subalpine meadows. After settling there and creating burrows, they may not be able to find enough food. As the forest regrows in clear-cut areas, the marmots are forced to move. They may therefore never get a chance to reproduce regularly and establish a sustainable population. Suitable habitats for the marmots are often widely separated. Roads created for logging trucks have established an easy passage for predators. Wolves, cougars, and golden eagles prey on marmots. If these predators can't find enough of their other prey, they may increase their predation on the marmots. The Vancouver Island marmot has a low reproductive rate. As is the case for the other 2 marmots, a female is capable of producing pups at 2 years of age. However, the female Vancouver Island marmot generally doesn't have her first litter until she is 3, 4, or even 5 years old. After this, she normally reproduces only every other year. According to the Marmot Recovery Foundation, in 2003 fewer than 30 wild Vancouver Island marmots existed, and they lived on only a handful of mountains. Several captive breeding and release programs were started soon after this discovery. In 2017, the IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature, estimated that around 90 to 130 wild animals existed. Though this number is higher than the 2003 one, it's lower than the previous estimate in 2011. On April 9, 2018, the Marmot Recovery Foundation said on their Twitter account that they were waiting for approximately 150 to 200 Vancouver Island marmots to wake up. A report at the end of 2019 said that around 200 animals existed in the wild. In spring 2020, there were over 20 colonies with marmots likely to emerge, according to the foundation. The IUCN classifies the species as critically endangered. Some researchers say that about 700 Vancouver Island marmots will need to exist in the wild before we can be reasonably certain that the species will survive. The current signs of recovery are encouraging. The animal is still in trouble, however. It would be a great shame if this marmot disappeared from the earth. Marmots as a group are interesting animals that are well worth studying, for both their sakes and ours. They may have some important things to teach us about their species. They may also teach us about interactions between living organisms and the effects of different environments on life. This is always valuable. It's possible that by helping marmots that need our aid, we may help ourselves.